Hello, we're representing East Tennessee State University's Master Program, and we're presenting on the need for decriminalization of HIV and AIDS. In Tennessee, according to the Tennessee State Code mandated 39-13-109, it's a felony offense to engage in intimate contact with another person, and thereby exposing them to HIV. This law criminalizes individuals with HIV and AIDS and does not serve as a deterrent to transmission while further stigmatizing this population. In order to protect themselves from liability, at-risk populations are less likely to pursue HIV testing, and thus increasing the rates of transmission and delaying much-needed HIV treatment.
The issue is that the law is outdated, and it's based on incorrect information about HIV transmission. It is in direct opposition to the National Association of Social Workers Tennessee's chapter position to prioritize inclusion for 2014. House Resolution 1843 and Senate Bill 1790 are proposed bills that eliminate discrimination against people living with HIV/AIDS. Tennessee has not supported those bills. As well, the strengths of the current legislation are that HIV/AIDS is a relatively new disease, with its first reporting being in 1981. At the time, very little was known about the disease except for the fact that it was considered life-threatening at that time. In the spirit of public protection, laws were created against HIV/AIDS spread based on the limited knowledge of the time. Unfortunately, the laws have had unintended negative consequences.
Though this law does have its strengths, it has several limitations. Over the past 30 years of medical research, it has resulted in the development of HAART, which is a effective treatment that renders HIV no longer to be a death sentence. This social and political climate surrounding this issue does not reflect these advancements. And a 2013 study found that HIV/AIDS specific laws are not significantly reducing the rate of infections and do not deter transmission. These laws undermine public health initiatives by making people reluctant to know their status due to concern for potential criminalization. This law depicts people with HIV as immoral and dangerous criminals, furthering the stigmatization of this population.
Many at-risk HIV exposure due to untested individuals not pursuing testing to determine their status. The Henry J. Kaiser Family Foundation noted in their work with AIDS that the epidemic's impact varies across the country. It continues to have a disproportionate impact on certain populations, particularly racial and ethnic minorities, gay and bisexual men, as well as blacks and Latinos. These groups account for a disproportionate share of the new HIV infections and deaths as compared with the overall population. MSW 6 core values: service. Ineffective legislation impedes the ability to properly address the issue of HIV/AIDS transmission as a social problem because the laws marginalize and alienate the vulnerable populations in the U.S. Social justice. HIV/AIDS legislation does not impact systematic issues of transmission, such as easy access to methods to decrease transmission and treatment that would minimize transmission. Dignity and worth of a person. Current legislation creates a barrier to HIV testing and prevention by stigmatizing individuals through criminalization. Importance of human relations. Individuals with HIV/AIDS fear penalization, which hinders relationship building between professionals and clients. Integrity. HIPAA protections are threatened with HIV/AIDS specific criminalization that inherently discloses a person's status upon receiving a charge. Competence. Current legislation does not hold the public or professionals responsible for educating themselves about the current information on the transmission of HIV, the need for testing, and early medical intervention.
Our recommendations for this law are to support House Resolution 1843 and Senate Bill 1790. In addition, we'd like to revise legislation to use medically accurate, health-oriented, and evidence-based language. Create an initiative to educate professionals and the public about the advancements of HIV treatment and transmission. Engage people with HIV and AIDS about how they were infected with this disease and what they feel will potentially protect more people in the future. And finally, to create a statewide consensus program for